Welcome to our next topic, circular economy. A quick recap to our previous topic where we studied about waste management, and I told you that central to the waste management is the concept of recycling and resource recovery. And I told you this will be important when I teach you the next chapter of circular economy, that conversion of waste materials into reusable resources, driving sustainability and mitigating the depletion of natural resources. It plays a pivotal role in waste hierarchy, encouraging maximum maximization of value extraction from waste. Maximization of value extraction from waste and promoting their reintroduction into the economic cycle. Economic cycle, circular economy. In our today's topic, we're going to be studying circular economy. Let's look at this picture. The model of circular economy. Less raw material, less waste, fewer emissions. And key to this is lesser consumption, because if we consume less, production would therefore be less. Lesser raw materials we will use, less waste we will produce, fewer emissions we will do. The raw materials. Sustainable design. Sustainable design is key to what we are producing, the product. The product needs to have a sustainable design, like we studied in the renewable innovations of energy conservation. After that, when the product has a renewable, sustainable design, it has to be produced in such a manner. After its production, it has to be distributed in such a manner. And then comes the part of consumption. This consumption has to be reused, repaired, and first of all, reduced. Then, once it is discarded, its collection, that we studied in waste management, on the spot segregation, composting, recycling, its collection is very important. And what can be recycled should be recycled, and what cannot be recycled becomes residual waste. And what can be recycled comes again in touch with the raw materials or on its own becomes again a new product. This reintroduction of the thing back into the economic cycle is called circular economy. The principles. The circular economy is based on three core principles. The three golden R's. Eliminate waste and pollution. How can you eliminate? By reducing its use. Circulating the products and materials at their highest value. Circulating them again in this cycle. By recycling. Then regenerating the nature. Recycling again. By also reusing. So these three R's are not watertight compartmentalizations. They are often homogeneously overlapping. According to the World Economic Forum, in a circular economy, things are made and consumed. In a circular economy, things are made and consumed. Things are made and consumed in a way that minimizes our use of the world's resources, cuts waste, and reduces carbon emissions. Products are kept in use for as long as possible, though repairing, recycling, redesign, through repairing, recycling, redesign, so that they can be used again and again. Now, the World Economic Forum has given a very beautiful definition of the same. It says that in a circular economy, just a second, yeah, that in a circular economy, what we need to eliminate and what we need to use are consumed things that are made and things that are consumed. This production and this consumption is done in a way to minimize the use of natural resources. We studied in another module of ours about natural resources. We studied about their depletion. We studied about their sustainable use. Now, here what we are saying that the circular economy aids this. In this, products are made and products are consumed in a way to minimize the use of these resources. So it therefore cuts waste or does management of waste and reduces carbon emissions. So this is the purpose, the principle behind circular economy. Products are kept in use for as long as possible. Their shelf life is high. And how is it made so? By good repairing, by recycling, and by redesigning so that they can be used again and again. A one time use and throw thing is avoided. Now, a plastic bottle cannot be recycled. It can be recycled, it cannot be reused, it should not be reused. Now, the design of a plastic bottle is such that its shelf life is not good. You cannot keep a plastic bottle and you cannot keep reusing it because the microplastics in it keep dissolving in water. So that is something we should not be using. Instead, we should be using a thermos, which we can use again and again. A steel thermos, a Milton steel thermos has a shelf life of years. I know I'm still using mine from the last 5 years. At the end of the product's life, the materials used to make it are kept in economy and reused whenever possible. Now, that example of the thermos that I am using, the steel thermos, the big steel grey thermos. Now, let's say ever it stops keeping the water cold enough. It has run out of its shelf life, let's say after another 5 to 7 years. After that, what will I do of that thermos? I'll give it to the kabadi wala. He's going to dismantle it and he's going to reuse that steel again. And with that, the material is going to come back into the circular economy and it's going to be reused whenever possible. The application, the product design and production. How are you going to apply circular economy? You need to have such a product design and production. You need to make your consumer aware. You need to do waste management. You need to promote markets for secondary raw materials. Now, it's very rare that we willingly give stuff to the kabadiwalas for recycling. Those people literally have to come as hawkers in our streets and ask for if we have iron, plastic, paper, or anything recyclable that we can give to them. So the governments need to promote such secondary raw material markets. Sectoral measures. Now we know about the principles of circular economy. Let's now study about application of circular economy. Product design and production. Like I just told you about thermos steel. You should be knowing this bottle, it's a very famous bottle design as compared to a plastic bottle. Product design and production. Promoting a design that makes the product more durable, repairable and recyclable. अब एक प्लास्टिक की बॉटल लेट्स से इस पे क्रैक आ गया, आप इसको रिपेयर के लिए लेके जाओगे, जिस आपने शॉप से प्लास्टिक बॉटल खरीदी कि भैया इस पे तो क्रैक आ गया, he will laugh at you, he'll say don't you know the plastic bottle cannot be repaired. बट यही अगर आपकी थर्मस की स्टील नीचे गिर जाए, थोड़ा सा डेंट आ जाए, उसकी कूलिंग में थोड़ा इफेक्ट आ जाए, you take it to the shop, he'll change this base of the thermos and he'll give it to you after repair. So we need to promote designs that make products more durable. What is durable? Which is rough, tough to survive, repairable, recyclable. Consumer empowerment. Now, consumers need to be informed. Their choices should be well thought and they should promote sustainable consumption. Now, as consumers, we must know that we think, okay, this bottle is so expensive. Let's say this is of, when I bought it, it was for some odd 800 rupees. And this plastic bottle is for, let's say, 20 rupees. We think that, let's take a plastic bottle. It's okay, it's just 20 rupees. Why should I carry my own water bottle? It's such a burden. When I'm thirsty, I'll buy a water. No. We as consumers need to make informed choices and promote sustainable consumption. Waste management. Improving the collection and recycling of, we studied this in our previous module, that collection and recycling of waste is very important to recover valuable materials and minimize landfilling. Waste management is very important. Making waste into wonder. Important. Promoting markets for secondary raw materials. Creating markets for recycling materials. And so I personally think that government should have involvement, or if not involvement, government should have policies that encourage these raw material markets to promote the use of secondary raw materials in production. Then specific measures for key industries like plastics, construction, textiles and electronic industries. Specific industries like the rubber industry, it has a key role to play in circular economy. We shall study that next. Circular economy in the rubber and plastic industry. So the rubber and plastic industry, recycling of production waste. This industry of rubber and plastic has a big role to play in circular economy. Companies can collect the waste which is generated during production and reintroduce into the manufacturing process. Now, plastic either ways should be used very little, but let's say there's a factory unit that is producing, let's say, rubber. Now, interestingly, the waste that is being generated, let's say you're making a tire and you had to make a tire, there's so much of rubber waste that falls down. Now this rubber waste can be reintroduced to make another tire. So companies can collect waste generated during the production and reintroduce it into the manufacturing process. This industry can heavily rely on it. Use of recycled materials. The use of recycled plastic and rubber into new products reduces the need for new raw materials. Now, why do we say, okay, if you are using plastic bottle, fine. Don't just throw it away in a landfill like that. Give it to the kabadi wala. If you remember their tag, they say Loha Raddi Plastic. If you have iron, steel, plastic, paper, give it to them for the secondary raw material. Because this plastic can be reused, can be recycled to make another plastic thing again, so that we don't have to use fresh raw material. And this will again reduce the environmental footprint. Product take back programs. So the first is recycling of the production waste in this rubber and plastic industry. Second is the use of recycled material again. Then is the product take back programs. Implementing programs that allow customers to return used products to be recycled or remanufactured. I remember there was a case that if you sent back wrappers of a chocolate back to the chocolate company, they used to send you a CD. Yeah, they used to send you a music DVD. So these product take back programs are also very nice. Incentive should be given that, let's say if you are using 10 plastic bottles of water, and if you send back those 10 bottles of plastic back to the company, it will send you a medal, a jute bag, or something like that. So implementing programs that allow customers to return the used products to be recycled will also enhance consumer involvement in the process, which is very important. Now, before ending this module, let's talk about the practical ways how we can help in circular economy. I'm sure the example of thermos steel bottle and plastic water bottles is very relevant. What we can do our bit is we can recycle on our own by disposing it properly, by doing a proper waste management, by use of recycled materials, by product take back programs. But this has to be a two-way thing. But what is important from your end, this, to make informed choices, promoting sustainable consumption, waste management. As consumers, we can think we don't have any role to play in the circular economy. This is such a big concept, this, that. But let's take a view in it. Yeah. So we can look over here that, just a second. Right. We might think that circular economy, oh my god, this term is so heavy, I don't understand it. But it's very important to know that the consumer has probably the biggest role to play. From what is being produced, to what is being collected, to what is being recycled, to what new ideas are coming into the market, the consumer has the biggest role to play. Consumers like you and me, if we make certain choices. So there's a very simple theory in economics, the demand and supply theory. It says that if the demand is high, the supply will be more. If they say that the demand of a thing is very less, the supply of the thing will be less, because the company will say that okay, the demand is less, why should I manufacture it more? So the same thing applies over here. In a circular economy, if we as consumers are making thoughtful choices of buying more durable products, of shunning down things that are not sustainable, which are not sustainable, we are not buying it, तो उसका प्रोडक्शन भी कम होगा, उसका प्रोडक्शन कम होगा, फिर ग्रेजुअली उसका कंजम्पशन और कम होगा, उसका कंजम्पशन और कम होगा, वो हमारी सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी से धीरे धीरे निकल ही जाएगा। और सिर्फ जो यूज़फुल है, जो सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी में बार बार सर्कुलेट हो सकता है, रिसाइकल हो सकता है, अच्छा है, सस्टेनेबल है, रीयूज़ हो सकता है, रिपेयर हो सकता है, ड्यूरेबल है, सिर्फ वही सब सामान रह जाएगा। I mean, imagine the impact that we have as consumers on the circular economy. It's a very beautiful model of economy. It's green, it's sustainable, and it's good for the three E's: economy, ecology, and ethics. So let's end this module here. I hope we become good consumers. We've learned a lot in this module about what choices we should make, what sustainable, renewable energy innovations are happening around the world, what we as consumers can do, what sort of waste management we should do, what sort of healthy choices we should make in the market. And all of that in this module we have studied. I hope you had something to take away. Thank you.